If he beat Canelo, he the baddest motherfucker in the last 30 years.
Trying to do a fight. What's the status of that?
We will see maybe next month, next 2 months. Let's see.
Of course.
I know you're serious, but I've got to ask you for the people that are watching.
Of course.
Are you confident that that fight is a fight that you can win?
Well, I'm always confident that I can win any fight that I step foot in.
After months of deliberation and ongoing drama, it appears the long-anticipated bout between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez might finally happen. The fight, long debated within the boxing community, has faced multiple failed attempts over the past year. However, recent reports suggest the timing may now be right. The reigning Mexican champion is reportedly looking to defend his 168 pounds titles this May, with Crawford emerging as a top contender. Breaking the news via Twitter, boxing outlet Telesa PBLA reported that Canelo's return to the ring is expected in May or June 2025, with no official opponent yet confirmed, though many expect it to be Crawford. The superstar, set to return in May, is eyeing a major fight that will draw high pay-per-view numbers along with defending his belts. When asked about the potential matchup, Canelo responded with his typical calm, noting that while Crawford is nearly 2 weight classes below him, he wouldn't turn down the fight if the offer made sense. Canelo remarked, "I'm in, why not? Don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter, but for me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight. Easy money." This marks a shift from Canelo's previous stance, where he had dismissed the idea altogether. Now, many in the boxing world are wondering if the fight is finally close. Crawford, who has long pushed for this clash, appears re-energized by Canelo's recent comments. In a recent appearance, he said that while nothing is official, he's ready to prove he's the true generational great.
Let's see, who knows?
That smile's telling me something else, bro. I think it might be on the line, no?
Just saying, man, we can't say it's not gonna happen. We can't say that it is. So, let's all just wait and see. Of course.
I know you're serious, but I've got to ask you for the people that are watching.
Of course.
Are you confident that that fight is a fight that you can win?
Well, I'm always confident that I can win any fight that I step foot in the ring.
Terence also shared his reasons for consistently pushing for the Canelo fight, stating that while he doesn't particularly admire Canelo as a fighter, he understands the glory it could bring. After all he has accomplished in boxing, a bout against a top contender in the 168 pounds division offers a unique opportunity to cement his legacy. Taking down a fighter widely regarded as one of the sport's greats would automatically elevate him as the best in this division as well.
I wouldn't say I'm chasing Canelo. I think that's a broad statement. I just want the opportunity, to fight the best fighter in my generation that's out there. He's the most accomplished fighter in today's sports of boxing, other than myself. And I would just like to, fight another great. That's it. That's all. If the fight, happens, I think it'll be the biggest fight in the sport of boxing today. Canelo is a big, strong competitor. He's a great fighter. He's a future Hall of Famer. And that's what we in the game for, is to leave a legacy that will last, surpass our life.
Giving insight into how he believes the fight with Canelo will play out, Terence stated that claims about him being the weaker, easier opponent due to his smaller size are absurd, and far from the first time he's heard such things. Firm in his belief that he will emerge victorious, Terence emphasized that on fight night, he will annihilate Canelo and drop him, regardless of the challenges he may face on the difficult journey toward the fight of his dreams.
Break it down to you, how it's going to happen. Strategy is me leaving with my hand, rolls and everybody mouth dropping. That's how I can, sums it up in a little bit of answer right there. I'm the type of fighter that I make adjustments on the fly. So along my whole career, I do what's necessary to get the job done and secure a victory. And I feel like in the Canelo fight, I would do everything within my will and my power to...
Although the Canelo fight appears to be Terence's top priority, he hasn't completely ruled out bouts in the 154 pounds division. He emphasized that after boxing's remarkable resurgence last year, several potential opponents have caught his attention. If his primary plans don't materialize, he's prepared to shift focus and pursue the best fights available in that division. Regardless, he made it clear he's not ready to step away from the sport, as he still has much to offer. In the same interview, Terence also expressed openness to fighting in exotic locations like Saudi Arabia, aiming to generate maximum hype.
A lot of fights out there at 154, you know, that's interesting me. That interests me. You know, like I said, the future is bright. The sport is going in the right direction. So we shall see where Terence Crawford leads. Who knows? You know, like I said, you know, we gotta weigh our options and see what makes sense for Terence Crawford and his career.
Meanwhile, closely observing the remarkable journey Terence has undertaken since the start of his career, renowned coach and trainer Greg Hackett emphasized that after thoroughly analyzing Bud's path, it's clear he has consistently proven doubters wrong. No matter how often he's been underestimated, he has always come back stronger, evolving into a highly skilled boxer who has outclassed opponents across 4 weight divisions, an extraordinary achievement in today's boxing era.
Supposed to beat him. A lot of guys are supposed to be too big for him, too fast, too strong. This one's supposed to be too experienced, and he beat him all.
All right, but now look at the
Getting bold.
Now let's go back a little.
But man, people don't get it. He was being counted out like a long time ago. He kept winning. Beat a lot of ass.
Speaking on the constant underestimation Bud still faces, Greg pointed out that throughout his career, Terence was rarely seen as the fan favorite, especially in recent bouts against Errol Spence Jr. and Israel Madrimov. In both cases, many experts and boxing fans predicted defeat for him. Yet each time, he defied expectations and emerged victorious, as if rewriting a fate that many thought was already sealed.
Classes and is like a lot of times I was there, people was doubting him. They doubted him against Spence. They doubted him against Madrimov. Some people say he was too small. I heard him. When he fought Victor Postal, he was too small. When he fought Gamboa, he ain't know enough.
Further elaborating on his view, Greg highlighted all that Bud has accomplished in a relatively short span while remaining undefeated. He stressed that while there are other standout fighters like Gervonta Davis, each with their own unique style, none quite measure up to Bud. His exceptional skill set, sharp boxing IQ, and relentless drive to keep pushing forward set him apart, firmly establishing him as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter of this era.
Saying Bud punching on shit at 35, 40, 47, and just won a belt at 54.
All right, so you said
Champion at 35, undisputed at 40 and 47, right? And then won another belt at 54.
all right, so
Still undefeated.
fighting him.
No, take a bitch. But pound for pound, I think Bud. I give it to Bud.
So you saying Bud #1?
Maintaining his stance even on a potential Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez showdown, likely to take place later this year, Greg made a bold declaration. He stated that since Canelo is regarded as one of the most gifted boxers of this generation, defeating him would not only place Terence at the very top of the sport, but also crown him the best fighter of this generation and the past 3 decades.
So he #1 forever.
If he beat Canelo, he the baddest motherfucker in the last 30 years.
Also expressing hope to see his close friend and most esteemed fighter become the greatest of all time, His Excellency Turki Alalshikh revealed that once his current ongoing projects are complete, he plans to organize a major fight for Terence Crawford, possibly earlier this year. Addressing rumors about Terence dealing with an injury, Turki shared that Crawford had personally informed him of the issue during their last meeting. However, they remain optimistic about his recovery, as he is undergoing rigorous rehabilitation under the supervision of skilled trainers and medical professionals.
Crawford coming back. What are the plans for him?
I think he's injured now. We are planning to have something with him. I will discuss with him maybe in January. I see him last week in Hamburg. He said he's have a little injured, and he's starting to rehab now and training again. And we hope to. He's one of our plan to see him fight.
During the interview, Turki also touched on the possibility of hosting another Riyadh season event in America, similar to the one held on August 3rd last year, featuring the main event between Terence Crawford and Israel Madrimov. While he seemed somewhat reserved about the idea, he did confirm plans to return to the U.S. to host an event, this time under the banner of The Ring, his personal venture that offers him greater flexibility and control.
It is in the plan, but not Riyadh season, because maybe The Ring, because there is separate things. The Ring is my private equity, and Riyadh season is different. I have a plan for The Ring in American.
Despite his past reservations, It now appears that Turkey may be aiming to organize a potential showdown between Canelo and Crawford during one of these upcoming ventures. He once again reiterated his commitment to making this high-profile fight happen, reminding fans that he has promised Terence on multiple occasions to bring it to life, by persuading Canelo's reportedly stubborn and unyielding team. Looking ahead to an official announcement, Turkey urged fans to remain patient for the next couple of weeks as negotiations continue behind the scenes.
He wants this fight, and why not? We will see maybe next month, next 2 months, let's see.
However, in contrast to fellow coaches and organizers, renowned trainer Andre Rozier believes that following the epic rematch between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury just days ago, Usyk has not only taken Bud's place as the #1 pound-for-pound fighter, but also claimed the title of the greatest fighter of this era. While outlining what Crawford could do to regain his top spot, Andre stated that the only viable path would be for Terence to move up in weight and face a highly challenging, notable opponent. However, considering the current landscape, he sees this possibility as slim to none. Expanding on his view, Andre explained that such a move may not suit a fighter like Bud and could potentially do more harm than good. Therefore, he believes the most strategic decision would be for Crawford to remain in the 154 pounds division.
The only thing he could possibly do at this point to regain that status is to beat someone of note in another weight class, and I think 54 is going to be enough for him. Him going up to fight, and quote unquote, if it should happen, Canelo, I don't see that ending well. It's just too much and too far to go. But that's what it would.
Addressing public calls for Terence to move up in weight to unlock his full potential, Andre dismissed the idea as foolish, arguing that Crawford wouldn't settle well in a higher division. Instead, he advised him to hold his ground at 154, where he has found a strong footing. Andre emphasized that Terence is a highly skilled fighter who should focus on facing all the top contenders in the division and aim to become undisputed there. He also noted that, despite being overlooked by some, the middleweight class is packed with talent that deserves greater recognition.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but in the weight class that he's in now, 154, there's enough smoke there where every fire department in New York would have to come out to put that flame out. It's a lot of smoke at 154. So I'd like to see him take control of that. I'd give him flowers for becoming undisputed at 54 also. But I think that's going to be a tough task. There's some really exceptional 154 pounders now, and they keep knocking it out. So I think, it would be a monumental climb to go up to 68 when there's so much.
Sharing the same viewpoint as other analysts regarding Terence's decision to move up, renowned media personality and analyst Stephen A. Smith believes Canelo will come out on top in this fight. While acknowledging Crawford's immense talent, Stephen argued that he lacks the power needed to compete with someone like Canelo and likely won't fight aggressively when they meet in the ring, a factor he believes will lead to Crawford's downfall. Expanding on his stance, Stephen emphasized that it's nearly impossible to identify any clear weakness in Canelo's game, especially judging by his dominant performances in recent fights against Jermall Charlo and Caleb Plant. Highlighting what makes the Mexican star so formidable, he added that Canelo's ability to disrupt his opponent's rhythm, by constantly applying pressure and never allowing them to feel comfortable, is what sets him apart in the ring.
Concern is that he won't hurt Canelo. And if he doesn't hurt Canelo and can't hurt Canelo, then Canelo keeps coming. Similar to how he stalked Charlo, how he stalked, once he had Plant hurt, he chased after him. Canelo is a very powerful individual who can get exposed by a boxer because every shot he throws, he's trying to make it.
Just like Canelo, Stephen also acknowledged the strengths of the American fighter. According to him, while Terence may lack the raw power and size to physically dominate opponents, he truly excels in the art of boxing, especially in outmaneuvering his rivals and keeping them off balance by never allowing them a moment to think. Expanding on this, Stephen noted that Crawford is a highly intelligent fighter who can seamlessly adjust his stance to mirror his opponents and respond with the right skills at the right time. He emphasized that Crawford's ability to adapt and counter throughout the fight poses a serious challenge for Canelo, ultimately calling this dynamic a major problem the Mexican star will have to deal with.
I think my initial reaction would be to say that I think that Crawford would be the superior boxer, as great as Canelo is. As seasoned as he is with 65 fights, if I recall on his record, he's phenomenal. but Crawford is something special. I think that he's a better pure boxer. I think boxing-wise...
Commenting on how this potential fight might unfold, Stephen added that based on the attributes both fighters have developed over years of experience, the only viable path to victory for Terence would be to outbox Canelo, while avoiding the trap of being overly defensive. He stressed that Crawford must seize every opportunity to attack, especially in the early rounds. If Canelo is allowed to find his rhythm and senses a lack of resistance, he will use every tool at his disposal to take over the fight, ultimately leading to Crawford's defeat.
Can Crawford hurt him? I would pick Crawford to win if he can box and stay away. I don't believe he can hurt Canelo. And if Canelo catches him, it could be trouble. It would be a very interesting fight. I just believe that Crawford hasn't been in the ring with anybody this powerful. And I'm wondering whether he could stay away. Again, Crawford is the superior boxer. But if he can't hurt Canelo, he can't keep him off of him. And that's where
Shifting the focus to what drives Terence to pursue this fight so passionately, Stephen revealed that during their last meeting a few weeks ago, Crawford shared that while he still enjoys the act of fighting, his main priority now is building a lasting legacy. One that cements him as one of the greatest fighters and champions the world has ever seen. Stephen also pointed out that, considering all that Crawford has endured in his career, he doesn't fault him for choosing to move up and face an opponent of his own choosing, despite overlooking worthy contenders at 154 like Virgil Ortiz, Jaron Boots Ennis, and Jermel Charlo. At this stage, Stephen explained, it's understandable that Bud wants to avoid risky fights that could potentially damage the legacy he's worked so hard to build.
It's a legacy fight. He thinks about Tommy Hitman Hearns and Sugar Ray Leonard and others moving up in weight, and he believes he can do the same, and he wants to do the same against a fighter the caliber of Canelo Alvarez, which is why we haven't really seen him in the ring against anybody else, because he doesn't want anybody else. He wants the major fight. He has every right to want to avoid getting in the ring with risky fighters like Boots Ennis or Charlo or Ortiz or anybody else, because he wants...
What Stephen may have meant by these statements is that, after everything Terence has given to the sport over the past few years, and despite repeatedly proving his worth to a once skeptical audience, the boxing community continued to overlook him. Not only did many refuse to take fights with him, but they also denied him access to the bigger, legacy-defining matchups he long desired. Now, having surpassed the age where most fighters face opponents in their prime, those opportunities are slipping away. Blaming the politics and biased stakeholders within the sport, Stephen argued that this toxic interference has caused irreparable damage to Terence's career. He urged the public to recognize this reality before labeling Crawford as selfish or casting him as a villain.
You don't like it because Charlo is there and others for him to fight. On the other hand, you have to look at him and say, wait a minute, he is 35, 36 years old. He's been around the game a long time. He was denied his shine a long time because people didn't want to get in the ring with him. To put himself in this position where he gets to prevent people now, to avoid people now, after spending so many years of watching people avoid him. Unfortunately, that's the business of boxing. He's a victim of it, not a villain in it.
The end. What do you guys think about this potential fight? Do you believe it will finally happen this time, or are these just more empty rumors? And if it does take place, who are you picking to win? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.